How scary can the original Jeff the Killer story be? For those who don't know, I should say first how much I love this character, even though Jeff the Killer's creation and the way internet has transformed him into countless variations, including a anime-type character, has always fascinated me. I never really expected a proper Jeff the Killer story from the internet, this character started out as nothing more than a silly edited photo joke, yet is somehow cruel. It has managed to affect me in a strange way. Today, instead of talking about different old stories, I want to focus on a new series that has been getting popular recently. Kris Archives. This channel has created a new story about Jeff the Killer that, in my opinion, is worth exploring. It's an analog horror series that looks fun to dive into, and considering it's still ongoing, I think reviewing Jeff the Killer through Kris Archives is gonna be an enjoyable experience. So, why don't we start with the first episode? On August 12th of this year, the series began with 911 audio recording giving us new information about old 2011 Jeff the Killer story. It is also stated that in October, this was a recording about a strange incident that took place in 2007 involving a young woman nervously calling 911. The woman claims that the suspect responsible for a bunch of murders has entered her home a week ago and now she calls the police. Right? Yeah, that's good. Okay. According to her, about a week earlier, she had woken up from a nightmare, noticed her window was strangely open, and felt terrified when she realized there was a pair of eyes staring at her from inside the room. The way Jeff is described here is very traditional, but also quite ineffective. Since the description has become so iconic and cliche over the years, the Joker-style cuts on Jeff's mouth no longer feels like a frightening detail, but rather an annoying cliche. Soon after, the suspect attacks the woman, and after uttering his infamous phrase, "go to sleep," the two wrestle for a while. When the woman's father enters, Jeff throws a knife at him and flees, failing to finish the murder. The officer on the line connects this event to reports from the previous week when neighbors claimed they saw a man climbing and running across rooftops. And shortly after, the woman and the officer hear glass shattering in a room, realizing the killer has now returned. While a patrol car is dispatched, the woman hides in her house. As viewers, we watch her hid in a closet, record everything with her camera for some reason. Gunshots are heard, but then the killer, unharmed, approaches her and kills her. Even though we finally see Jeff's face instead of a horrifying mutilated killer, it looks more like just a smiling man. And a kid. When the police try to contact the girl again, Jeff picks up the phone himself, breathing heavily and laughing. Once the danger is confirmed, the police search the house, only to find both the girl and her father murdered. Their eyes gouged out, eyelids burned, and cheeks cut open with a knife. Later, Officer John, while driving into the forest, sees the killer run past his car. Reinforcements are called, but John eventually encounters Jeff directly. At first, Jeff just stands there like a ghost, silent and frozen. Then, as he approaches, instead of dropping his knife, he asks the officer to come and take it. When Jeff moves towards him, John fires 4 rounds, but the bullets just only hit non-lethal areas, showing clearly that Jeff cannot feel pain or doesn't want to feel pain. Despite the officer's screams echoing through the forest, Jeff escapes somehow. But disturbingly, another blood-covered woman is seen wandering nearby too. I wonder who that could be. Then on October 14 in 2007, after a day after the murder, a TV broadcast announces that an unidentified killer believed responsible for murders of the past 10 years is still at large. The next tape continues from here, showing disturbing images and new details. Victims with gouged eyes and carved faces are revealed, alongside warnings about how to avoid the killer, like it was just a Kuchisake Onna kind of tape from Japanese horror. I don't know how it's pronounced anyway. But doesn't it feel strange that the girl was able to fight back against Jeff, and even though he was shot multiple times, he still didn't die? Anyway, another revelation is that the killer is actually Jeffrey Wood, surprise surprise, a missing child from a family that had been murdered. Emergency alerts in the tape urge viewers to call 911. In some points, binary codes appear on screen too. Eventually, the broadcaster starts and a white-faced, female-like figure appears saying, "Don't go to sleep or you will never wake up," something like that. The video ends with an abandoned house in the woods and another binary code on screen. Translating the codes together reveals a chilling message. You will burn in hell. This house will be your grave. Even if I die, I'll take you with me. Through the meaning of this is still unclear in the story's context, but the appearance of the figure and the repeated warnings not to sleep suggest the presence of another character, a woman stalking Jeff, trying to stop his killings and seeking revenge. Wonder who that could be. Haha, I think it's just a knockoff Jeff the Killer, but a woman. Of course it's gonna be named Jane. What did you expect? It's a knockoff Jeff. Report, September 28th. In the middle of the night, the Woods family's bodies were discovered in their home. All signs indicated brutal and extreme violence. The victims were Margaret Woods, Peter Woods, and Lou Woods. The family's younger teenager, Jeffrey Woods, was not found at the scene and is currently considered a possible suspect. In another related case, a girl named Jane Arkansas, here we go, from a nearby neighborhood was discovered at her home with severe burns. Emergency crews reported that several of her friends and family members were murdered and arranged around the dining table. Jane was in critical condition and placed under intensive medical care. So, the video continues with a flashback in 1997. A family moves into a new town and is invited by the neighbor, Barbara, to attend her son Billy's birthday party, although Jeff Woods doesn't want to go. So, his mother, Margaret, insists, and Jeff describes feeling strange. A weird feeling, but he dismissed it as just a random feeling. Perfect writing and absolute cinema. Experiencing a painful sensation after falling asleep and waking up again in the morning before breakfast. The next day, Jeff Woods and his brother Lou Woods go to school. On their way to the bus stop, they are attacked by the bullies. It's the classic cliche of schoolyard torment. The bullies introduce themselves as, "I'm Randy, destroy this Keith," all that stuff, and threaten Lou with a knife, stealing his wallet. This is when Jeff, for the first time, stops resisting his urges and fights back. Taking Bully's knife, he stabs and beats them.
Motherfucker! Give me the knife back!
Afterwards, Jeff admits he doesn't even remember how he did it. Unfortunately, there's no animation here, just text, but later, Lou was arrested by the police instead of Jeff, supposedly because he was the one found holding a knife. Lou then shows a bruise on his stomach from the bullies, and the police see it and drag him away. The Woods family oddly does nothing after police pulls the gun on Lou, and Lou's just in jail. And the Woods family oddly does nothing, simply stays home and watches TV probably. Days pass by and Jeff is forced to going into Billy's birthday party. While Jeff's parents dress up to make a good impression, Jeff is left outside to make friends with the younger kids. Soon, Randy, Troy, and Keith crash the party and threaten Jeff again. Despite knives being pulled, Jeff brutally kills them, tearing off Randy's nose probably, smashing Troy's head, and taking down Keith. Before Keith dies, Keith laughs, just like Jeff does in the later videos, and drenches Jeff in bleach and alcohol before setting him on fire. This explains Jeff's bleached white skin and scars. I think someone took bleached white skin more seriously. Yeah. Jeff survives in the hospital, wrapped in bandages, comatose for weeks. When Lou finally is released, Margaret visits Jeff, crying and saying she wishes he would die. Believing Jeff cannot hear her, she blames for everything. She confesses her hatred, unaware that Jeff does hear it. So apparently that night, Jeff mutilates himself. Burning his eyelids off so he'll never sleep again, and carving his face to make his permanent smile. Eventually, after Margaret discovers him doing that in the middle of the night, Jeff proceeds to murder Margaret, Peter, and goes into Lou's room. Then we see this familiar sight, like someone watching the character from his bed. And then the video ends with a silhouette of his final form. More realistic than previous depictions, but I love that he kind of looks like an egg. Still, one thing remains overlooked: the binary code at the end. This fourth code from the series translates to, "Your foul, decaying souls will burn in the depths of hell." Why multiple? I think there is another villain here. Probably Homicidal Lou? We don't know yet, but it would be pretty good if they added Homicidal Lou too to the series. So, because it's kind of a slasher parody thing, apparently. The whole creepypasta is a slasher parody, and it seems someone hasn't quite got over the fact that surviving a really bad fire is a bad thing, yeah. In the past 2 days, Kris Archives has released a new teaser and a shorts video. I absolutely have to say that I'll be reviewing this series again in the future, seeing how they'll present Jane the Killer's story and how they'll tackle Jeff versus Jane from Mr. Creepypasta, which I could describe as another slasher comedy. It looks like it's finally time to say farewell.